Hey folks, welcome back. Jerry once again up here at Hilltop Firearms Training Center, Dover, Tennessee. Thanks for watching. Tomorrow is June the 1st, 2018. Hard to believe, but we are 6 months already into the new year. And I wanted to thank all of the folks that have come out here and trained with us this year, all of the new students that took the time to see what Hilltop was about. I wanted to personally thank you for doing it. For all of the alumni that have been back to take other classes or just come by to visit, thank you guys, because without you, we would not be here. And today's video is kind of a little off subject. It's pertaining to some social media drama that was started recently, and it wasn't necessarily aimed towards me, but it was aimed towards a person that I had planned to collaborate and teach a class with. Now, I'm not going to get into any of the details because that's irrelevant. I'm not going to mention names because I don't feel that's really where I really want to go with this video. But let me give you a little bit of just a kind of an update, sort of where this actually became a thing. So this other gentleman and I were talking, and we had planned to get together and host a 2-day class in the fall. And we posted some things about it, and suddenly I saw some stuff going on social media that was pretty negative. Words like thief, fraud, you're just using my material, that kind of stuff was quickly being brought up. And he and I spoke, and I said, I just don't think this is a good idea. If there's enough people, you know, putting all this negativity on it, I really don't want to even go further into it. I said, it's months from now, so we just basically cut ties. It was fine. We were like, for the better of everyone, let's just move on. So here's where the video for me comes in. When I started reading the comments on how words like fraud or thief or you're stealing my material started coming out, I had to stop for a moment, step back, and kind of reflect on some things pertaining to the professional business that we see in the industry today, the firearms instruction business. Firearms instructors are plentiful. If not, for a lack of better terms, it is a flooded market. And I started to think to myself, so where are all of the innovators? The pioneers, when it pertains to how people use firearms. Now bear with me, because I think this will make a little more sense as I get a little bit further into this. Where are the pioneers, the people that took a concept and changed how we did things? When I think back, one of the names that pops into my mind, of course, would be the Colonel Jeff Cooper, who was the founder of Gunsight. People are still teaching off of his material today. So he would, in my opinion, would be a pioneer, an innovator, because he changed a lot of what people do and how they do it today. We're talking from way back. So I started thinking about the word stealing, or a thief who takes something that isn't theirs, when it pertains to firearms instruction. If you look around today, the market is overwhelming with the amount of people that are teaching firearms. So here's some of the thoughts that I wanted to get off my chest. And you can post your comments below. I honestly have kind of shied away from even reading a lot of the comments on some of the videos, because it seems like social media is one of the most cruel places to put yourself on. And so anyway, I digress. Calling someone a thief. Now, if you blatantly rip off everyone's information and you use it and try to present it as something you've developed, that is a form of, well, that'd be plagiarism, right? If you're writing, you take someone's entire everything and then you write an article about it, or you write a book about it, but you don't give anybody any credit, that's plagiarism. It goes way back. People do it all the time. So now you add the element of firearms and you use the word instructor. If you are blatantly just using everything that you've ever learned without any original idea, would that be stealing? Certainly, I feel it would be. But then I started thinking about, we had the pioneers in this industry, and now we have all of these offshoots. Every one of the big name instructors that we have today started somewhere, and started usually under the tutelage of an instructor who was their mentor. So you got Colonel Jeff Cooper. You have people like legends in this business. You have people like Clint Smith, okay, who founded his own Thunder Ranch. He once worked for Cooper. Would I consider Clint Smith a thief of what he is teaching? No. Why? Because he took elements of things he had learned and then made them work for his own, formed his own material, his own, but he still got his start from different people through the years, whether it was when he was in the military service, his law enforcement. Do you see where I'm going with this? So while I would never even, the words thief and say Clint Smith would never even go together with me, because he has proven the fact of where he has progressed and evolved from, and he has created his own thing. There's some other really big names in the industry, one of which here in Tennessee, I remember when he didn't have money. He wasn't the celebrity he is now because social media did not exist yet. He got his start from two really big name instructors that I can personally think of. He worked for an instructor at one time and then formed his own business. But elements of what he had learned filtered out into what he teaches. Is he a thief? No. Once again, there's a difference between just blatantly ripping someone's material off, just using every drill, everything, every whatever, and trying to market it as yours. That's wrong. I started thinking about the first time I paid money to go to an actual, real firearms school. It was 1992. It was taught by an older guy. I've tried to find him on social media. I've tried to find him on the internet. I guess he's long since passed on. I cannot find anything about the guy. But here's where I'm going with this. I remember being the gun guy, the gun collector. I was young, I had money. I was buying guns every other payday, ate up with it, obsessed with the latest, greatest. And then suddenly, I'm seated at a table inside of a classroom, and there's people to the left and right of me, people behind me, people in front of me, and my heart's I'm a little nervous, and I'm thinking, man, I'm really taking a real firearms school, because I'd been shooting guns for years. I got my first handgun in 1984. Now I'm in a formal school, and the instructor says, and I can remember it just like it was yesterday. He says, a little bit about me, and he talked a little bit about he had been in the military, and he was so proud to state that he was a graduate of several courses taught at the Lethal Force Institute. And I remember thinking, well, I know that. I've heard of them. They're up north and northeast, and I remember reading about them in Guns and Ammo. And he was very much the first person to state how these classes he had attended were so great. His material, the way he instructed, the way we shot was heavily influenced by what he had learned at the Lethal Force Institute. Now, if you don't know what that is, you can still Google it. I don't think they're really doing much anymore, but we're looking at something that was very big in the 80s into the 90s, up until the mid-2000s. Founded by Masad Ayoub, very well known in the industry when it pertains to legalities, liabilities, shooting, the criminal aspects of things, expert witness in many, many murder trials. But the instructor was very much influenced by what he had learned at the LFI. So, would you call him a thief? I think he was heavily influenced. In 2007, I opened Hilltop Firearms Training Center. I was still in law enforcement, was trying to make a little extra money, and I started teaching handgun carry permits. I had taught at another school for a while, and then finally decided to open this place. 11 years into it, I've never once considered myself a thief when it pertains to the passing on of knowledge. I will tell you one thing that's a little bit different about me is I always reference a tactic, a technique, a method of shooting as to where I learned it from. I think that's what a professional person does. You give credit where credit is due. I will tell you this, if you've ever taken a class here, any of you watching that have been here, you will probably totally agree that I always will say it's not a one-size-fits-all. In other words, I will give you various methods of doing a particular, whatever it is, whether it's reloading a pistol. I'll let the student choose which one works best for them because it's not one-size-fits-all. But I always try to reference where I learned it and the why behind it. Because really, I don't feel that there's anything original as to what we're teaching here. But if you think of the grand scheme of it, where are the innovators of today? Where are the pioneers? I'll tell you some of the things that I've noticed. The war in the Middle East, since it began, has changed a lot of what people are learning and teaching today. Our armed service members who have returned, who start teaching, are heavily influenced by what does not work when it pertains to the modern technique of fighting. The war has changed a lot in the gun industry, the gun community, the gun culture. All of that is heavily influenced by our service members returning. They've learned the hard lessons. Sometimes they've learned on the great loss that people have suffered on methods of shooting, what works, what does not. Even the way we enter a room to clear it has changed because of what works and what doesn't. Hard lessons being brought back from our service members. They have changed the face of firearms training. And I've been thinking a lot about, like, well, who are the pioneers of today? You can probably count on your hand how many people have really changed how we are training. I was thinking about this as well. A few years ago, two very popular guys just sort of came out of nowhere and changed how people shoot guns, the way they look, the way they move, the way they act, the way they set their guns up. Two names come to mind, Haley and Costa. It seemed like overnight, things started to evolve because of those two guys. In fact, one really big instructor who's very big in the industry, highly skilled, extremely knowledgeable, can be seen in one of their Magpul videos. He was nobody then. He was kind of the guy in the class. But he got his start somewhere as well. One particular person in his life made a dynamic difference and dramatically changed how he does things. It's where he got his start. But then he took what he learned and he crafted his own product. Could we call him a thief? No. But sometimes, and this is where I'm going to end this, sometimes in this business, if you look a certain way, act a certain way, have a few of the friends that like you and accept you, and they're well accepted in the industry, you're in with very little work. It may be because of the way you look, the kind of gun you carry, and suddenly all of the followers think, well, I've got to have this brand, I got to wear these pants, I got to look the part, and I will too be the next big thing. Where are the original thinkers and the pioneers in this industry? Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you on the range.